Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 8.19 and it's around third question, and we will be related with chapter absorption and spoiled production. There will be a time when it would come what you will see is spoiled and defective. Both aspects would be present in single question, but right now we are related with only one concept, and that is spoiled production. Okay, the method, format, journal entries, ledgers, absolutely similar to the introduction. So just you can see the volume of this question. We have given some inputs related to total, we have given some inputs related to spoiled. This would be similar in every question of defective and spoiled. Now keep it in mind, first part of the question would normally be related with total production, and second part of the question would normally be related with spoiled production. And as usual, I'm just reminding you, spoiled production means you have started your work upon total number of units. Some number of units were damaged, but damaged was severe and you will not be able to repair that damage, and this way those damaged products would be considered as B pair. We will not be able to sell them as A pair or at standard price. So we'll have to sell them as B pair at a price which would be less than that of standard. In this way, we will face a loss. And loss sometimes we charge to the production, and sometimes we do not charge to the production. Unusual. Now these are two parts which would be elaborated later on. A and B part, when loss is charged to the production and when loss is not charged to the production. So I'm just hoping that you have this concept. Spoiled units are damaged products which cannot be repaired. So you will sell them as B pair instead of fresh pair, instead of A pair, and you will not be able to sell them at a price which was fixed for good products, good units. You will sell them at price far less than that of standard price. Okay, so we are coming over here. You can see performa is same. There are two sides. Total number of journal entries would be 3 at left and 3 at right. So we are starting our first entry. As you know, it starts with work in process, but since we are related with three major aspects, so first would be work in process material, and second would be work in process, but it would be related with labor, and then work in process would be related to FH. Since it's favorable to create our work in process, that is why we do write it on debit side. Material is being used. It means material is decreasing, asset is decreasing. In this way, you are writing them on credit side as they have used. Okay. By using material, labor and FH, you have created your work in process. Narration which we will use is work started. You may write work started, or you may write on total units. That's better. So work started on total number of units. Then you will see spoiled recovery. Here second entry is what? Recovery. Recovery means amount you have recovered. Recovery of spoiled goods, second entry, and third entry would be finished goods. That means after spoilage, how many number of units we have in our store as finished goods. Spoiled good entry means first you will see how much amount you are recovering. So spoiled goods, and then you will see how much damage due to this spoilage goods had happened, and you will do work in process. You will write them on credit side, material wasted. So let's settle them to the credit side, and due to credit side they will be aligned at right side of your journal entry. Then to work in process labor, and finally work in process factory overhead. So our recovery process has been ended, and then we will see our finished goods. Finished goods are favorable. It would be acting like an asset, but our work in process is ended, with which finished goods have been finalized. End of work in process. When work in process was started, it was put on debit side. Now work in process has been ended, so we are putting them on credit side. Work in process labor, and then work in process FH. So all entries are completed. We are now open to write their amounts. For amounts, we will use some formulas. And keep it in mind, most importantly, how to write amount of work in process material on credit side within spoiled good is so important. So that your attention would be needed at most. Work in process material we do calculate by total number of units, and they would be multiplied with per unit cost of material. And we will go to the question. Here you can see received an order of 1500 units. Alright. In view of expected spoilage, usually factories, manufacturing concerns, they are already mentally prepared that spoilage loss is possible. No matter how good care they are doing, no matter how good equipment they are using, no matter how good trained labor they are using, even then there would be a possibility of spoiled loss. So instead of worriness at the time of delivery of those units, what they do, they produce more number of units than that of order. You can see order of 1500 units they have received, but in fear of spoiled production they have produced 1600 number of units. So these are total number of units, and this is what we need to put over here. Total unit 1600, and then per unit cost of material is mentioned over here for production falling cost incurred. Since it is per unit 40, so that's what we needed. Total number of units 1600, and per unit cost is mentioned as 40, so you need to multiply it with 40. In this way your first calculation has been completed. Actually this is not the part of your journal entry. Just to make you understood, I am writing everything in front of journal entry. Alright, statement was completed. It's time to calculate. 1600, it would be multiplied by 40 to get work in process material amount. In the similar way, we will now be calculating work in process labor. Again, number of units would be needed and multiply it with per unit cost of labor. We will go. Number of unit would be similar for all three elements. 1600 are the number of units. We need to multiply it with per unit cost of labor. For that, let's go to the question. Direct labor 60 per unit. So we will be writing 60 as it is per unit cost of labor. So this was your working for work in process labor amount, and now you can calculate it. 1600 multiplied by 60. So in this way your amount for work in process labor is completed. Now it's time to calculate work in process FOH. Again, units would be multiplied by per unit. Per unit of FOH we do call it as small f, and units would be similar for all three entries. 1600 number of units would be multiplied by per unit of FH. Now luckily direct per unit cost has been provided in the question. Look at here, 20 per unit. Factory overhead per unit cost is already provided. So what you will do, you will write this 20 per unit cost over here. So since we are calculating overhead, 20 per unit is written. This was your statement for factory overhead work in process. Now we are open to calculate. 1600 would be multiplied by 20. All three amounts we have calculated, and as you know, credit side is vacant, but we will apply a simple accounting principle over here. Debit side would always be equal to credit side. So whatever amount is written on debit side, same amount would be written on credit side as well. In this way, entry would be balanced. Now we will be looking forward for spoiled goods. Since it's a recovery, formula of this is simple. Spoiled units would be multiplied by recovery amount, or sale is better word so that you would not be confused. Now let's go back to the question and see how many number of units were spoiled. On final inspection, quality controllers rejected 50 units as being spoiled. So number of units we have found out, and you know that spoiled goods are not repairable. So they will be sold as scrap or B pair. The spoiled units were sold for cash at scrap dealer 30 per unit. 50 units, 30 per unit is your sale price. So in this way we are open to calculate. 30 number of units were spoiled and they would be multiplied by 50. Let's check it out again. Units and per unit. 50 unit, 30 per unit. So it is written okay, but we are not going to change the sequence. Multiply by 30. So in this way statement is completed. Spoiled number of units multiply by sale. Spoiled were 50 and they were sold for rupees 30. Statement is completed. It's time to calculate the amount. 50 multiplied by 30. In this way 1500 we have got. Spoiled units were 50 and sale price was 30. Alright, now most important part is to divide this 1500 into three parts. For that purpose, this is total cost of material. You can name it as capital M. This is capital M, capital L, or capital F, and then we need to divide it by total amount. I would like to write over here, only amounts can be written. So what you will do, you need to have amount 1500. Please do understand, it would be multiplied by individual cost 64,000 and you need to divide it by total. So first we will calculating the total, just as rough work, consider it, we will delete afterwards. So total amount of this is 1,92,000. Now understand, 1500, it would be multiplied by individual total and would divide it by grand total 192,000. In this way we will be able to calculate work in process. Okay, we need more space so that they can be seen. No, it means we'll have to do elsewhere, but try to understand how did we calculate it. We are picking this amount and we'll write somewhere else, and we will write the formula as well. So here you will write spoiled work in process for material. How would you calculate spoiled amount? It would be multiplied by capital M and would be divided by total cost. Spoiled amount was calculated as 1500. This is your spoiled amount, 1500, and you will multiply it with capital M, and the capital M was here. In fact, what you are doing, 1500 multiplied by 64 and divided by grand total 192, and this is what we are doing over here. Formula is written just to memorize it. So your capital M is 64,000, 64,000, and you will divide it 192,000, which is grand total. How did you get this grand total? You have summed up all these three amounts present in first entry. Sum of these amount was 192,000. In this way, statement is completed. Now we can calculate it. 1500 multiplied by 64,000 divided by 192,000. Okay, so 500 is the amount, so you will be writing 500 over here. Okay, now second amount, spoiled work in process labor. Same, you will be writing over here spoiled work in process, but labor we are using. How would we calculate? Again, spoiled amount. Look, same, but what we will do, we will multiply it with amount of labor in first entry divided by total cost. Spoiled amount is similar. 1500, there would not be any change. We need to multiply it by labor cost, and here second is work in process labor, 96,000. Now we can calculate it. 1500 multiply by 64,000 divided by 192,000. In this way, our second amount has arrived as well. Surprisingly, why it is okay, something has been put wrong. 96,000. 96,000 was amount of labor. So let's correct it. 96,000. So in this way, two amounts we have calculated, 500, 750. Now we will calculate spoiled work in process, but for labor, for FH. And how will we calculate? Again, spoiled amount would be same, and it would be multiplied by capital F would divided by total cost. Total cost would be same. Look, 192, 192. Spoiled amount would be same, 1500, 1500. Only amount of material, labor, and FH would be changed. So spoiled amount is 1500. We need to multiply it with capital F. That means factory overhead cost would be mentioned over here. How much factory overhead cost is? Look over here. We have 32,000. Another misprinting I have just seen. This is not labor, actually it is FH. So sometime it happens. Okay, now amount is 32,000 individual and total 192 as we do know. So for third amount FH is 32,000. Let's check it out again. Yes, FOH amount is 32,000, grand total 192,000. Statement is completed. Let's calculate. 1500 multiplied by 32,000 would be divided by 192,000. So in this way, our third amount is also calculated. One extra zero has been put. Let's delete it. 500, 750 and 250. This was calculation for spoiled and second entry. Work in process material already calculated. Now I'm just letting you know the shortcut 1500. It would be multiplied by 96,000. What shortcut you have played? Multiply by 96,000 and divided by 192,000. So that's what you have calculated. Again for FH 1500, it would be multiplied by 32,000 would divided by 192,000. In this way you can calculate directly as well. What we have done over here, these are formulas to memorize you. Sometimes you forget what you have done, so that is why I have written the formulas. And second option I have given you is to calculate directly. Simply what you are doing, you are taking 1500 multiply individual amount 64 divided by grand total 192. It's time to calculate amount in third entry. For that, ledgers are needed. Direct calculations are also possible, but since it's requirement of the question, so we will be making ledgers. First ledger would be for work in process material, and we will observe where work in process material is present. If it is present on debit side, we will write amount on debit side. So first amount, first entry, work in process 64,000 is on debit side. So you will write 64,000 on debit, and you can see that what is written on the opposite side is material. So you will write to material as your reference. In second entry, check it out, work in process material is present on credit side. So you will put 500 on credit side, and reference is spoiled goods. Whatever is written on the opposite side, you will use as reference, but with word by. By spoiled goods entries, there were only two entries. Now it's time to calculate its balance. First step is to calculate total of both sides. Debit side total 64,000, credit side total 500. Then choose larger balance, which is 64,000. Larger sum would be put on total of both sides. Now we will choose the smaller side, which is credit side. Here you will calculate the balance. How would you calculate? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger sum 64,000, subtract smaller sum which was 500. In this way balance has been calculated 63,500. So here in work in process material, what you will do, this balance you have calculated by making work in process material ledger, and the balance which we have calculated 63,500 put over here. Now we will be looking forward for work in process, but labor account would be made, and we will be looking forward where work in process labor is present. Debit side 96,000. So you will put 96,000 on debit side. The reference would be used whatever is written on opposite side. Labor was present on debit side, and on credit side 2 labor is present, so you will use it as reference. In second entry you can see work in process labor is present on credit side 750. We will choose credit side to write 750. Its reference is clear. Spoiled goods are written on opposite side. By spoiled goods, you will be writing by spoiled goods over here. Okay, by spoiled goods. Yes, it is okay, but we need little more space. Entries are completed. There were only two entries. Now it's time to take the balance. 96,000 total of debit side. 750 is total of credit side. Larger sum was 96,000. So you are putting 96,000 on both sides. Total of both sides 96,000. Now it's time to calculate the balance. How would you calculate balance? By subtracting larger sum from smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger total 96,000. You need to subtract smaller sum, which is 750. In this way, balance has been calculated. So you will go to the entry, and here work in process labor amount is needed to be put. Ledger has been made. Balance is calculated 95250. So we are putting exactly over here. Direct method, I'm just informing you. It's not the method that you are not going to make FH ledger. It is mandatory. It is important. You will make it. But I need to know, I need to let you know that there is direct method as well present. Since there are two entries, work in process FH present on debit side, work in process FH present on credit side. So what does that mean? You will be okay. There is something miscalculated. I will show you later on. Okay. Work in process FH is present on debit side. Work in process FH is present on credit side. So simply sides are different. Signs are changed. When it is minus and plus, you will subtract. When it is plus and minus, you will subtract. It means when signs are changed, you subtract. Debit side 32,000, credit side 250. So you can directly calculate 32,000 minus 250. Why we are subtracting? Because sides were changed. Here, let me check the amount. It should be 60. Okay, 63,400. 95. Okay, it's time to calculate our amount of finished goods. Finally, there is no formula for the finished goods. You will simply calculate the sum of credit side. As we know, under accounting principle, debit and credit would always be equal. 63,500, then you will add 95 250, then you will add 3175. In this way, sum would be written in front of finished goods. So here was your first part when loss was not charged to the production, 190,500, and you have got your answer 190,500. So hopefully you people are well understood the phenomena. And for second part, when loss is charged to the production, it's so simple. You will pick these entries. Even in question, you do not need to bother. Just pick these entries and write down as it is on opposite side. You will also be writing second entry as well. But what difference you will make? Here you will be deleting these amounts not needed, and you will take these headings little down to introduce the required element. When loss is charged to the production, understand that when loss is charged to the production, a new word would be introduced, and that is FH. Hopefully someone remember. And this would be used to calculate the actual loss. So here we will calculate the loss, and later on we will see it. Then finally what will happen for third entry? Entry would be absolutely similar, and you will post amount entry over here. Amounts would be calculated in a different way. Now you have seen the difference. First entry absolutely same. Second entry, just one additional word of spoiled, one additional word of FH would be introduced in second entry. In third entry, 100% inputs would be same. Finished goods to work in process, material, labor, FH, but amounts would be calculated in a different way. So in this way, our second part is ready. As you can see that 80% of the time was spent upon left side or first part. and very short time you have taken to demonstrate your three entries when loss is charged to the production. Again, come over here and we will calculate the loss. How? Spoiled units would be taken and it would be multiplied by loss per unit, and spoil units would same 50. For loss we will go to the question and we'll see how can we understand the loss. For that you can see that total per unit cost was, how would you calculate? There are three costs, 40 plus 60 plus 20. So this was your total cost, and how much it was we can calculate over here is equal to, okay, direct 60 and 40, 100, 120 was the total cost. And how much we have received after selling those units? So you can call it sale price as B pair, not A pair. How much was the selling price? Come over here. Scrap dealer as 30 per unit. So price was 30. Now loss would be calculated, and I'm very hopeful that you have well familiar with calculation of loss. How? Total price was 120 while we can sell it only for rupees 30. Remaining amount would be your loss. And how much that loss is? 120 minus 30 means 90 would be your loss. Understood? Total cost was present over here 40, 60, 20. Total was 120. You can sell it for rupees 30 only mentioned in the book. Out of 120, only 30 were recovered. 90 per unit was the loss. So here you can write it. Number of spoiled units were 50 and loss upon each number of unit was 90. In this way your loss is calculated, which is named as FH. Calculations completed. You can now put it on your calculator. 50 multiplied by 90. 4500 was the loss. Recovery was 1500. It's time to calculate our work in process material. For that we will follow these formulas. Absolutely same. This would be for loss, okay, little bit change we'll have to make. Loss for loss of material, right word. And what you will do, you will see that amount of spoiled plus FH amount and would be multiplied by capital M and divided by total cost. Capital M, total cost of material. The difference between this formula and this formula is only the word FH. Spoiled amount was 1500. We can calculate everything over here. Just we will see the amount of FH. This is your FH. Amount was 4500. 4500. Spoiled amount 1500 and FH cost 4500. Put a bracket over here. So this would be the only change, and then you can see was multiplied by 64,000 and divided by same 192,000. This way our calculation would be completed. So please understand loss of material. How did we calculate? I will show you upon entries. You need to add both of the amounts and will multiply with individual total 64 and divided by grand total of all three amounts 192. So 1500 plus 4500 multiplied by 64 divided by grand total 192. And same we have done over here. Now we can put it on calculator. 1500 plus 4500 multiplied by 64,000 divided by 192,000. So in this way we have completed our calculation for loss of material, and we'll go to the question. I will show you where it would be written. This is the place where you will write it, and you have calculated loss of material, and that amount is 2000. You will put 2000 in front of here. Work in process material. In similar way, you will now calculate work in process labor, and same formula you will be using which was used for loss of material. Just we will change the heading, and here you will use loss of labor, and for that only one word would be changed, and that is labor cost. Just labor cost we have put over here. Everything is available. Now we can calculate that directly. Spoiled cost was 1500. Same amount would be put 1500, and you need to add 4500. Same 4500. Just we will change the amount of labor. Labor was 96,000. So here the only thing would be changed is this 96,000. Please make sure that you have understood everything which we have written for loss of material is same, except instead of writing capital M means cost of material, we have changed capital L mean cost of labor, which is 96,000, and we have already written here. Statement is completed. Now put it on calculator. 1500 would be, then add 4500, multiply it with 96,000 divided by 192,000. So second amount, something went wrong. Okay, let's check it out. This dash is written. Second amount we have calculated 3000. Go to the question, and here work in process labor was meant to be calculated, and we have applied this formula of loss of labor. Amount has been calculated 3000. I have highlighted in this way. Second amount is also calculated. Now for third amount, again we will use the same formula except for FH cost. So you will write formula over here, and we'll change it except one word. Just one word would be changed, and that is factory cost. Again 1500 spoiled goods would not be changed, and loss 4500 would not be changed. Just one change. Instead of labor 96,000, you will put factory overhead 32,000. So you will multiply it with 32,000, and ultimately it would be divided by 192,000 grand total. Statement is completed. Let's calculate. 1500 plus 4500, it would be multiplied by 32,000 divided by 192,000. Alright, so we have got our third amount. Work in process FH was meant to be written over here, and for that we have applied a formula of loss of FH, and that amount was 10,000. So put over here 10,000, and here we need to change. It was loss of FH. Guys, we have completed entry number 2, and now it's time to calculate entry number 3, finished goods. For that we need to make our ledgers. and have completed our journal entries. Now it's time to calculate amount of finished goods, and for that we will be calculating work in process material over here. How would you calculate? By making simply the ledgers 2000, 3000 and 10,000. How 10,000 has arrived? Let me check it first. This is 1000. Okay, for that you will make your ledger for work in process material. First ledger, work in process material. It would be calculated, and for this you will go in your entries. First work in process material is debited 64,000. So you will come over here, 64,000 is debited. We have put it on debit. Reference would be similar to material. As you can see, whatever would be written on the opposite side. So work in process material was debit 64. On opposite side material was written. So in this way first entry is completed. For second entry you can see work in process material is credited by 2000. So you will go to the credit side and will write 2000. And again this was entered 2000. On opposite side there are two things, spoiled and FH. For the time being we will write both spoilage plus FH. There were only two entries. Posting has been completed. Now it's time to calculate our balance. Total of debit side 64,000 and total of credit side 2000. Larger sum would be put on total of both sides, 64,000 and 64,000. We will choose the smaller side. The smaller side was credit because total of credit side was 2000. Here you will calculate the balance. How? You will subtract larger, you will subtract smaller sum from the larger sum. Your larger sum was 64,000 and you need to subtract smaller sum 2000. In this way you have calculated your balance. So go to your third entry, and this was the place for work in process material. You have made ledger of this work in process material. Balance was calculated 62,000. You will put over here. In the similar way, you will make ledger for work in process labor, work in process FH as well. And directly how you would calculate, you can see that work in process labor is present on debit side, work in process FH, work in process labor is present on credit side. It means both sides are just opposite. Signs are opposite. Sides are opposite. So what you can do, 96,000 was present on debit side and 3,000 was present on credit side. In this way you have calculated your work in process labor, but you are mandatory to make ledger for work in process labor as well. Just to save the time, I am just doing it directly. Work in process FH amount is needed. For that what you will do, debit side amount is 32,000 and credit side amount is 1,000. So in this way third amount has also been calculated. Finally we are going to calculate our finished goods. Since there is no formula for finished goods, what we will do, debit and credit side should be equal. This phenomena would be adopted and credit side amounts are written over here. Some of these amounts would be written in front of finished goods to get equalizer of debit and credit. So on credit side we have 62,000, 93,000 and 31,000. Some of these amounts would be written over here. In this way you can see over here cost of finished goods for B part is completed 186,000 and cost of spoilage is also mentioned 4,500. You can see here your answer 4,500 and second answer 186,000. 4,500, 186, 4,500 and 186. Cost of spoilage mean the loss which we have faced. This was 4,500 And the second answer is cost of finished goods in B part. This is cost of finished goods 186,000. In this way, our question has been completed. This was purely associated with spoiled goods, and defective was not mentioned over here. Spoiled goods. Okay. So there were three answers. Let's review them. Cost of finished goods in part A. Cost of finished goods in part A 190,500. Here 190,500. Answers for second part we have already checked. There were two answers, 4,500 and 186. So 4,500 and 186,000. In this way, our question number 8.19 has been completed. If you have any query, any question regarding this solution, you are very open to ask your queries freely. I will surely be available myself to answer them instantly. Question number 8.19 is completed. Hopefully we will be meeting soon again for solution of any other question. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me as well. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.